Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where I'm torturing myself with another long slog of a Korean combiner video. I just think it's easier to do it all at once, rather than break it up into multiple videos. Anyway, today we're taking a look at Hello Carbot's Pentastorm X, which is their updated version of Pentastorm, which, if you haven't seen the video on that already, you can check that out. And the set consists of Fron or Police X. I'm not entirely sure which is the right name here. I've seen it as both. Ace X, Storm X, I think just Dandy X, and then Sky X, possibly SWAT X, or possibly Sky SWAT X. I don't know, but yes, we've got those 5 figures, and in this case they are actually figures. Unlike the original Pentastorm, the 4 smaller vehicles actually have robot modes. Now before we get to all of that stuff, and I'm going to try to be as fast as I can with this, no promises, but before we get to all that, let's do some size comparisons. Beginning as always with what is basically the standard deluxe squad. So yeah, being Hello Carbot figures, they are pretty large, though I will say these guys are a bit smaller than Hello Carbots have been in the past. Case in point, here they are with Sky SWAT, which is the only Hello Carbot figure that I have in the original form, aside from Storm, because I don't have Fron or Ace or Dandy. So here we've got the standalone Sky SWAT with the updated one, and you can see that there's a pretty notable size difference, especially considering this is supposed to be like a bulky SUV truck thing. But I just wanted to let you all see how the new set kind of stacks up with a more classic Hello Carbot figure. Bringing in the original Pentastorm vehicles, which I'm going to do in groups because it's just too much to fit on camera right now. But here we've got Fron and Sky SWAT. So these are the Pentastorm pieces. You can see that these are significantly larger than their original Pentastorm counterparts. Decos are definitely updated but similar. But I will say the 2 Fron figures are very close in size, in vehicle mode anyway. So yeah. That's how those all stack up. Here are the Pentastorm versions of Ace and Dandy. So looking at Ace, you can see that again, the deco has definitely been updated, and the figure is a little bit bigger now, and of course does a lot more, but still kind of gets the general idea of the vehicle mode across. Same with Dandy, whereas Dandy's vehicle mode is very different. It's still clearly an ambulance, but a much different deco, much different shape. Also, somewhat comparable sizes. So, that is that. And lastly, we have Storm, the original, oh, that's Dusty, the original Pentastorm Storm and Storm X Storm. And I feel like Storm X is bigger. Actually, quite a bit heftier too. This guy feels much heavier than this guy. And this guy is no slouch, but yeah, you could probably do some damage if you hit somebody with this. So that does it for the classic Pentastorm size comparisons. And then of course there's the duck tank. Okay, so because the smaller vehicles do a similar thing in pairs, we're going to be looking at them in pairs. So let's kick things off with Fron and SWAT X, or Sky SWAT X, or Sky X, I don't know. We'll just get these 2 out of the way first, because these are definitely the weakest 2 figures of the set. Deco-wise, not bad. Fron has some nice paint apps, though this section here does kind of, it's like blue, it just kind of stops. The deco just stops. But it's, cop car, muscly cop car. They did the translucent headlight plastic, nice chrome for the grille, chrome for the wheels. It's some nice detailing all around. It's just kind of basic, and also he's not a super interesting vehicle. SWAT's vehicle mode is more interesting, but also much harder to make out all the details in, because it's just matte black plastic, so a lot of those details get eaten. You can kind of see it when I shine the light on it right, but a lot of detail gets lost here, though it does make the silver stand out a lot, which is very nice. One of the downsides to that too is the fact that the plastic going all the way around is the same, so when you get to the windshield, it just is the same exact plastic color and tone as everything else around it, so it kind of has the effect of making it seem like there's no windshield here. There are these little bits on the back that kind of fill in the back, but also can be raised up to act as guns or launchers or something of some kind. And you also have the weapons storage along the side. I'll just pull that off for the time being. Let's just move on to the transformation. So for Sky, SWAT, X, whatever, to start, we'll just pop these panels out and push them up. And they will peg in right here. Then pull these chunks away, and they tab in up here and also back here. So lots of places to tab in. Bring down the arm. And this is a gripe that I have with the vehicle mode. The arm doesn't actually tab in anywhere, so it's, even when you're in vehicle mode, it's possible to like angle the tires out, which doesn't look great. It's not like a huge deal, but I feel like maybe the fist could have tabbed in somewhere. Anyway, we're going to take these bits and accordion them back like this, then pull these out, and these will actually tab in back here to kind of solidify that bit. Split the legs, fold the wheels in, and lastly, I'm going to bring this down, which will kind of, you'll see it kind of pushes this bit out a little bit, and then just pull that back, flip this the rest of the way up, flip the head the rest of the way up, and there we've got Sky SWAT in her robot mode. Give her her gun and put her off to the side so we can do Fron real quick. And Fron's transformation is very similar. The different limb bots have a very similar approach. So for Fron, you just pop the sides out like this, and also his weapons stored down here, so I want to unclip that. So that pops out. You don't do anything else to the arms, they just can twist and bend like this with these big flaps, and ugh. Pop these pieces up, and they tab in right onto this piece here. That kind of holds everything together. They also tab in back here. And then the feet kind of do a similar thing to what Sky did, or Sky SWAT X, whatever. This one, where they kind of hinge down and back. They don't really tab in, but they do kind of sort of click, like soft settle into place. These can just go back along the backs of the heels, split the legs, and there we've got that going. And then lastly, pop this back, pull this down, flip the head up, and then push this back into place. And there we've got Fron in his robot mode, and just gonna make him a righty. Pop his little baton in there. And here we've got these two in their robot modes, and they are by far the weakest of the set. Like I said, they are not, they're not great. Because first of all, they've got these chests that stick out so far, and the chests don't tab in at all. It's really like, you can bump them up, and it's kind of annoying. It's not as bad on Fron because when his chest, first of all, sets in a little bit more solidly. And also when you push this back, the head butts into this plastic here and keeps it from going back too far. SWAT, on the other hand, this piece is a lot looser, and again, it doesn't tab in, so it's really easy to knock that out of place, and I don't like it. Also, they're just not interesting looking robots. Fron is covered in panels, like he's got the wheel wells just sticking out, covering his feet. He's got these massive door panels on his arms. The chest, as I said, sticks out too far. I feel like these and these could have, like something could have happened with these, but it didn't. SWAT's legs are definitely less hindered, but she's got these big kind of bulky bits sticking out here, which is kind of weird. I kind of wish those could slim up a little bit. She's got a very boxy upper body, and the arms are just kind of weird. And all of the smaller bots do this, where it feels like their arms should be longer, and you've got elbows that are like way down on the arm, and it just looks a little awkward. The head's pretty cool. It's like an updated version of the original, but possibly a little too over-designed. I appreciate how the silver pops and the orange and the black pops, but I just feel like maybe there's a little too much detail in that head. Whereas Fron's head is, I think, better. It's not as busy as SWAT's head. It's Kind of a nice design. I like the blue and the red and the yellow. The silver faceplate and the sky blue eyes are nice. The big gripe I have with this is that the blue and the red for the head here are a little too close to the blue and the red for the shoulders that are like right next to the head. Considering everything that they have to do, I'm not that broken up about them, but like as standalone figures, I think they're pretty weak. Definitely the weakest out of everything that we've got in this set. Let me get Fron out of the way here real quick and bring in the original Sky SWAT just for this side-by-side comparison with these two right now. I do like that they kind of hit some of the same notes with this newer version with like the kind of grilled chest, the red in the feet, wheel shins. Like they do hit some of the same notes. There's even a little bit of that silver from here carried on over here. But I absolutely think that the older design is the better one. And like looking at the heads here, you can see how much busier the new one is compared to the old one. It's a cool design, but just a little too busy. And again, I like how much generally slimmer this silhouette is, because it's not that I don't think it'd be cool if Sky was a bulkier robot, but it's inconsistently bulky here. It's like just the calves, just the shoulders. It's really awkward looking. But that is that. Bringing in Ace and Dandy, and see that the two emergency vehicles, fire, I guess, and ambulance are fine. I do kind of like how they, because of their nature, they're kind of inverse color palettes. So you've got red with white accents versus white with red accents. Ace is a little bit more than what he used to be though, where he's got this giant thing on the back, which I guess is supposed to be a water tank for this water cannon maybe? There's some nice detailing going around here, lots of nice paint and separated plastics to pick things out. It's a pretty decent looking vehicle. Transform, pop off the little water cannon, and then to start, going to pop these bits open. And it's not quite the doors that we're opening because the windows are staying up there. There's like little clips, not clips, but like little tabs on the other side of this section here and slots on the sides of these flaps. So you kind of want to push down here and pull up here to separate those out. And there you can see the tabs and the slots. And that makes this nice and freed up so that we can pull these out, hinge them all the way forward. Not all that dissimilar to what would happen with the original Pentastorm. So with that done, you can split the legs, pop this section out, and this will hinge all the way down. And I like how this bit kind of tucks behind the junk here. Fold in the wheel and fold this down the rest of the way. Same thing here, accordion down and do all of that. There we've got the legs. Up here, this section splits and hinges down to kind of go over the shoulders and kind of lay a little more flush. And then the arms will untab from here and hinge down. And untab, hinge down, and then rotate the head around. You don't actually have to rotate the head around, but I like to do it because it kind of covers it up a little bit more. And there we've got Ace X. Give him his little gun. And put him back here. Move on to Dandy. And Dandy is a pretty solid ambulance thing. What's interesting is I got 3 of the Limbots. It was Dandy, Ace, and SWAT, or Sky, whatever. I got those 3 before I got Storm. And I gotta say, of all of the Limbots, Dandy is my favorite. There's something about the way he transforms and the way he kind of holds together in vehicle mode, the detailing in robot mode. It just appeals to me more than any of the others. Transformation-wise, very similar to Ace, but before we do that, just looking at the detail here, it's simple paint apps, but I really like the red accents on the white. That blue on the white, too, looks great. It's pretty darn nice, pretty well detailed. My only real issue is this bit doesn't want to stay down fully. It just kind of sticks up a little bit. Anyway, to transform him, we're going to pop this off, and with this popped off, we're going to swing these bits out, like so, and then hinge these up. It's very similar to what happened to the top of Dandy in the original Pentastorm, except this time around we're doing different things with this. Let's put that off to the side for now, and then pop these bits up, and these will tab in up here, right up here, and reach under here and push up to open this section, and these will also tab in here. We're going to turn the head around now because this flap here pushes in, and with the head turned around, I worry that I might scrape against the front of the face. It looks like there's enough room, so it should be fine, but just as a precaution, I turn the head around so then if it does scrape, it's only scraping against unpainted plastic. Then the arms will hinge forward rather than down like they did on Ace. So those hinge forward, bring forearms down, and there we've got the upper body. Now for the lower body, going to bring these down, to pull these down, and these will hinge down the same way that Ace's feet did. The wheels come with the ankles though, so you don't have to fold the wheels in. So just fold those down, pop these up so you can disconnect those tabs, and these will just accordion down and kind of nestle inside behind those kibble chunks on the heels. Split the legs, and there we are almost done. Last thing we want to do is take this bit and peg this back on the way it was, and that gives him this giant bladed axe backpack. I don't know why an ambulance robot needs a giant bladed axe backpack, but he's got one. And so here we have Dandy and Ace, and these two are the strongest of the Limbots by far. They work better as standalone toys. The transformations are more pleasant. Not to say that SWAT and Fron are bad transformations, but like they're kind of simple and kind of awkward in places. These guys, everything kind of flows much better. And I really like how these guys look when they're done. Like they're similar but different enough. They don't feel as much of a carbon copy of each other as the other two Limbots do. Looking at Ace, he's pretty simple in detailing going up the legs, but I do like the wheel shins. Pretty simple with the detailing up here, though I like this kind of interesting Gundam-esque concave cockpit chest thing going on. I will say these guys are more articulated than most of the Helicarbots I've seen, because like they have waist swivels, they all have waist swivels, they've got forearm or bicep swivels depending, they've all got ankle tilts, they've all got ball-jointed heads. It's pretty impressive in that regard. Ace's head is fine. The silver and dark blue work pretty well in the red, but like the red, yellow, and white is so prevalent everywhere else that it kind of overpowers the more interesting colors for the faceplate and eyes. Design's pretty nice. Kind of a, I guess, Gundam-esque in a way, with like that head crest coming forward and the bits along the sides pushing forward. I think the thing that bothers me the most about Ace's robot design is this chest section here. Just, it needs something. Maybe if this bit in the center was painted some other color, like white or silver or like yellow or something. And Dandy, as I said, is my favorite. The white and black, primarily white and black color scheme with like a little bit of red here, and then some yellow accents works incredibly well. Could have done with some paint in the pelvis area. The torso, there is some nice paint in here, but up here it is looking a little blank. I appreciate them putting the medical cross thing in the center of his chest there. That works, but like maybe if these details along the ribs were painted, that would stand out a little better. The arms also look pretty nice. Oh, actually I forgot a step. Gotta fold these wheels in. My bad. So yeah, the arms look pretty good, and I like how once these are transformed properly, the wheels kind of break up the color a little bit more. He, again, does not have bicep swivels, but because of the way the arms work, you can hinge the arms forward and backward as kind of like an approximation of bicep swivels, which is cool. This big backpack is a bit odd, and without it, he looks just fine, but, you know, keeping it on is fine too. I don't know why the medic needs a bladed battle standard on his back, but whatever. The head is a cool design. Again, it kind of has like a Gundam look to it, especially this like head crest thing. The design of the face looks really good, but my gripe with this is similar to my gripe with Ace in that you've got all of these colors that were used so prevalently in the rest of the robot mode that it kind of overshadows the faceplate and eyes. Though I do think that he has a very cool looking face, and like the sculpt on the head is really cool. I just kind of wish that they had done some slightly different detailing in here, maybe add some black to make some more details stand out. But still, cool figure, cool figures. Again, I feel like as a standalone, either one of these are much better than Fron or SWAT. Something to think about. Then we come to Storm X, and Storm X this is heavy. It's a similar design to the original truck mode, which kind of looked a little bit like a garbage truck, just in shape. I don't really know the function. Detailing's really nice. There's a lot of silver paint around here, the kind of orangey yellow clear plastic for the lights in the front, the chrome for the grille. Not a whole lot of detailing going on down here, but you do get some nice painted tampographic details along the side here. And that was a big gripe I had with the original Storm, which is that just blank side of a truck that was just a little plain looking. And then along the back you get some chrome back here just because, and a little bit of silver and red for the taillights. The actual back of the vehicle mode is a little bit ugly looking though, if I'm being honest. And I'm just going to pop this out. This will be his sword. He actually gets a sword this time. So for transformation, what's interesting about this is it's very similar to the original Storm's transformation, but it is different. So we're going to pop these sections open like this, and they kind of tab over here, and this tab goes over this section here. So if you're transforming this guy into truck mode, you need to do this part, fold that down first, and then fold this part down, because it's not going to work the other way around. These can flip up and tab in here, because unlike the original Storm, these bits do not actually lock the arms in place. There are ratchets up there now, so the arms will stay in place on their own, which is great. Separate this section, so this will pop out, and then rotate this bit down like that, just to get it out of the way. Straighten out the legs, which is really tough. These ratchets are no joke. Now we can bring these down the rest of the way, split the legs, bring them out, and then for the feet, they, unlike the original Storm, where they folded down from the front, they now fold down from the back. So bring those down, and there is a double hinge back here, so you kind of want to bring this back as far as you can, bring this forward as far as you can, and that will get everything lined up properly. Now, I'm going to split this section, and as I said, these bits are on ratchets now, so you just bring them out. You don't have to worry about locking them into place or anything. This bit, much like the original Storm, will flip forward, which then allows you to rotate this back, and then this just goes back against his back like before. You can rotate the shoulders up, and then bring down the arms, and rotate the fists. Yes, he has wrist rotation. There you can see there's wrist rotation. It's so lovely. It's so nice to have a Carbot that I can rotate the wrists on and not worry about being stuck with the gorilla arm thing. Now lastly, first I'm gonna put the sword in his hand, and the sword has this tab on the handle, and there's a slot on the inside of the palm, so you want to line those up, because that's how he's supposed to hold the sword. So now that he's got his sword, we need to give him his shield. Gotta adjust the arm, because the shield has to clip onto this bit right here. And that means we get to pull off his wings. And the best way I found to do that is to actually angle these up to get a better grip on it, and kind of brace your thumb on this black piece and pull the blue piece, because if you look at it from the front here, you can kind of see where it clips in there. So we're kind of pulling on this part, and that pops it right off. And then you just rotate that back down. And now we can take his shield and attach that. And I've seen people do it where this kind of sandwiches together, where you've got a tab up here, a tab down here, and so on, and you can kind of see how they lock together. They kind of hold, but not super great. And these have to clip on here. What I found works best is clip this one on first. And you can see that there are two different clips that they clip to. And then come in from an angle here. And as you clip this one in, the two interlocking tabs will, or the four interlocking tabs will do their thing. There we have Storm X in his robot mode, looking very slick. I really like this robot mode, and I feel like this guy is the absolute strongest standalone figure of the bunch. Because he's a fully featured figure all on his own. Like, he's got all of the articulation that I feel like I could want. I really can't think of anything that he needs. He's got ball-jointed head, the arms have the full suite of like the rotation, the in and out, the bicep swivel, elbows, and wrist swivels. He actually has waist rotation. He's got the forward, backward, in and out on the legs, thigh swivels, knees that are technically not double jointed, but you can use this like a transformation joint that's one click and then a multi-ratcheted knee joint. So like you can use that forward and backward on the feet and ankle tilts. He's got it all. And he looks freaking sweet. I love how those wings become a big shield. His sword's pretty cool. It's a little plain, it's just a piece of black plastic, but it's still really cool. He's got big shoulders and this big chunky backpack thing, but the original toy had that already, and I feel like he wears it particularly well here. It's lots of nice color too. It's like predominantly that dark blue, but it's broken up really well all throughout with like the silver and the red and the chrome, some white, some yellow, some black. Even on the inside, they ended up painting the insides here red, which is pretty cool. Some nice white detailing on the shoulders. The engine motif of the original figure is gone in the chest there, but I'm okay with it. And the head is really cool. I do have my gripes with the head though, because of course I do. I feel like there's too much dark blue here. I wish they had broken it up a little bit more with some additional colors. Possibly more red, possibly black, I don't know. But I will say the details that they did pick out, like the yellow, the silver, the red, is nice. The orange eyes, it's fine for a color and it does stand out, but I feel like the orange for the eyes is a little too close in tone to the red, so if you're not paying attention, you may not realize it's a separate color. And maybe it's just like right in here. Maybe if they had painted the inside, like behind the mask, but around the eyes black, maybe that would have made a big difference. I don't know. Being similar to the original toy again, they gave him a chrome faceplate. And this one I think works really well because it's a cool shape and it's not as overbearing as the faceplate that was on the original figure. And speaking of which, bringing in the original Storm figure, you can see just how much bigger Storm X is. That's a significant size difference, especially considering the vehicles were so close in size. That's kind of amazing. I definitely have my own kind of soft spot for Storm in his own way, but Storm X is definitely the superior of the two. The head for regular Storm is, as you can see, kind of a strange design, and that chrome faceplate is almost a distraction because there's so much of it, and then they did this thing where they gave him like light-piped eyes, but there's no actual light piping. Storm X's eyes, even though I'm not a big fan of the orange, just how it's done, it stands out and looks a lot better than regular Storm's eyes. You can tell, detailing-wise, there's so much more going on with Storm X. I dig it. Now, before we get to the main event, let's do some more size comparisons. Let's bring in, well, let's get you back a little bit further first of all, but let's bring in the rest of the crew. Oh boy, okay, bring this back a little more. So here we've got the entire crew together. I think I'm going to take a couple of these guys out just to make the size comparisons a little easier. There we go. The reason I did that is because I wanted 1 foot and 1 fist, and I feel like these two are the easiest to see because Dandy has the huge backpack and Sky SWAT is just a mass of black plastic. Anyway, here they are. Let me readjust this again just to bring things down a little bit better. All right. So here they are with the standard deluxe squad-ish, and yeah, they're very large. In particular, Storm X is very large. Here's everybody with a sort of standard issue Carbot, and I do think it's kind of a shame that the smaller bots are so much smaller than a classic Carbot, but we do have to remember that these are supposed to become combiner components for him. If these were that big, then he'd have to be even bigger, and this set would be irresponsibly large. And here they are with the duck tank. Okay, let me tweak this real quick. So we are going to start from the bottom and work our way up to combine everything. So, for Dandy and Ace, these two, let me get these back into their vehicle modes. Alright, so now that these are back in their vehicle modes, we're going to start with Ace. For Ace, you just want to pop this little door back. You can leave that plugged in, it's fine. And pop these panels out and point them forward. And that's all we are doing for Ace. So Ace looks like that. We'll go off to the side. Dandy's a little more involved just because there's more going on here. So you want to pop these panels out. And according to the directions, you want to have them back like this, but that reveals so much arm that I just tab them back in when I'm done. Swing these around like I did with Ace. And then you kind of have to undo this section in order to get a grip on this panel here and pull it up, because it just doesn't work as easily as it does with Ace. Bring that back up, peg this back into place, peg it back into place, and then bring these panels back in to close that up. I'm hoping I kept all that on camera. And there we have Dandy's shoe. This we're leaving as is. Next we've got Fron and SWAT, or Sky SWAT, whatever. And just gonna turn them back into their vehicle modes. There we go. And I'll start with Fron, I guess. So you can leave this tabbed in down here. There's a little bit of wanting to be careful with clearances and stuff like that, but it is possible. But what I'm gonna do is take the weapon out for now. First thing is you want to unpeg the side panels / arms, and then rotate them back 2 clicks. And there are these tabs here, right here, that are going to plug into this angled slot up here. So when you hinge this in, that will just plug right in there. So that's how that looks. This bit on the inside here that was covered up by the chest when it came down, this pulls out, and it doesn't really lock in place. This tab section just kind of sits over this notch, or this notch here sits over this kind of tab here. It does not lock in place. You can still kind of push it out of place. Unfortunately pretty easy, but do that and fan these bits out. And lastly, under here, there's this bit here that you pull down, and that becomes a thumb. And there we have one glove done. I'm going to peg this back in, so just pull that out of the way real quick. And this can peg back in here. And you can see that there's just enough space that it can still go in there and be straight. Sky SWAT is very similar, except we're going to pop these sections off entirely. Put those off to the side. I'm going to leave the gun pegged in, don't have to do anything with that. And these panels and side sections come off like before. Again, rotate 2 clicks, and then this will tab in right in there. So bring that up and tap that in. For some reason, it's a little tricky to get this side to sit in properly. When I have these out and like squeeze as much as I can, you can see that this side right in here doesn't sit quite as close up as this side. I don't quite know what the problem is. So hinge that back, hold out the thumb, flip this out, and open this up. There we've got the other glove. Lastly, for Storm X, we are going to take off the shield for one thing. So pop that off. And these have to go back on the shoulders. The best way to do that, you want to have the yellow bits facing out. That's the best way to remember it. These just go over these bits here. You kind of see where the tabs and stuff are. So you line all that up, and you want to squeeze, like squeeze and pinch the this bit. Bring that in and squeeze and click, and that locks those back in place pretty easily. Then remove his sword and put that off to the side for now. I want to have his arms like this with these bits pointing out because these clips are what's going to be used there. I'm going to rotate the arms up because this guy transforms in a very similar fashion. Adjust this so you can see what I'm doing. He transforms in a very similar fashion to the original Pentastorm. So once we do that, we can rotate this entire upper section around all the way and push this back all the way. Put the feet back where they were, so these just hinge back up in here, and that will sit flush. Now comes the tricky part. So we're going to start with Ace. The toe here clips in to this slot here, and then this bit here will clip over a tab on the back of this panel here. So bring that in, clip that in place, and then bring that in and clip that in place. I do the same thing for Dandy. Clip that in, bring this in, clip that in. Very solid clip. And there we've got feet. Now before I forget this step, I'm going to plug these bits onto the sides, and according to the directions, these are supposed to just peg into the sides and kind of be like either guns or something like that. Like, I don't know, I think they sit back like that. What I prefer to do, because they're on these double hinges, is I rotate them down and just kind of hinge them down like that as sort of like hip skirts, because I think that looks a lot better. Now for the gauntlets. This is, I'll get into that later. So these will clip in to the inside of these bits that we pushed out before. Clip that in and then close these up. And closing those up are what forms the most solid part of the connection, because there are these little slots right here and these tabs on the insides of these flaps. So that's what kind of extremely securely locks everything in place. So click that in, close that up. Now I want to angle these bits up. Probably should have done that before so that the gauntlet bits didn't get in the way. And you can see how they just rotate at that joint and they will naturally stop. Then for the head, you want to pull this bit up, and you don't want to pull up this part. There's a totally separate joint that you kind of want to pull forward and up to disconnect things. And it's kind of tricky to do, but you can pop it up. So this whole section pops up, this hinges back, and this silver or chrome bit will fold back like that. And this rotates back to reveal the head. And back here, there are these little kind of tab post things, and this just kind of sits over it. It doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't clip into place solidly like the original Pentastorms did, so that's kind of a shame, but that reveals the head. Before we finish, we still have this. So I'm going to take the sword, and now it was held like this by Storm because this tab kind of slid into the palm section of the hand. For Pentastorm, you want to rotate it down this way because this will tab on the inside of the new fingers. Going to do that, and we're going to attach this to the sword, just pegs in right there, and this will tab in to the inside of the fingers, which you cannot see. So there is, it's really hard to see, but there is a slot in there. Just going to bring this in and peg that into place. There we go. And bring the thumb in, and now we've got Pentastorm X, except I forgot to do a thing. Okay, so I'm just going to show this on one hand and then do the other one off camera. Of course, I'll do the one that has the frickin' sword in it. But anyway, the big gripe that I had with the set originally is the fact that he's got two hands on each arm, because it really does look like he's just got weird boxing gloves on. I saw in Kura's video, which you can check out up there, that you can totally just... I'll have to disconnect this. You can rotate the fist around. And so when you clip this in place, the fist rotated around, that kind of masks the fist a little bit. And that makes a big difference to me. And so at long last, here we have Pentastorm X in his fully combined mode, and this set looks great when it's combined, but I do have some issues. I guess starting from the bottom, the original Pentastorm, the wheels on Dandy and Ace folded in, which gave him kind of like a natural A stance. For Pentastorm X, the connectors on the insides of Dandy and Ace are angled so that the legs can still pull off an A stance, but the feet are still flat, which means all four of those wheels are on the ground, So he can basically just kind of roller skate around, and that's not ideal. It would have been cool if they could figure out a way to give him ankle tilts or have the wheels fold away or something for the feet, but it's not a huge deal. I'm also definitely disappointed with these arms, because they are the bicep curler gorilla arms that I just don't like. I really, really wish that they'd somehow come up with a way to connect these so that you could still make use of those elbows properly. I feel like there has to have been a way to do that. I would have been okay with there being more of a strange shaped gap in the shins, because that's where the arms tuck, if it meant having the clips in a different spot so that the gauntlets gave him normal elbows. I also have to say, as far as the gauntlets on this guy goes, they're kind of awkward to fit on a shelf. They stick out quite a bit, so I actually do things a little bit differently with them. For SWAT, I just accordion these forward, kind of cleans up the gauntlet a little bit. Also, because of the way her legs are shaped, you can bring things in more like that, like bend the knees and bring things in to give it kind of a more compact look. Also, this is another issue I'm having with this. The angle of this is not great. The hand kind of comes in at a weird curling iron angle. I kind of wish that this could fold out a little bit more. And also this connection, because it's not a super strong connection, it's surprisingly easy to untab that. It's not ideal, we'll put it that way. Anyway, as for Fron or Police X, I'm going to untab this section, bring this up. The reason we're doing that is because it allows us to curl the arms in, and then these can just kind of come back down a little bit. And that just cleans up the profile of the gauntlets a little bit more. Weirdly enough, my final gripe is the head. Now, I think the head looks really cool for what it is, and it's on a ball joint, which is nice, so you do get some decent range with like tilt and stuff like that. I just wish there was more range, because he's big. He's a big guy, and he can't look down. He can look up slightly, but he can't look down. The only way you can kind of fudge it is by lifting this piece up and kind of angling this. And that's not really how I would like to do that. Bringing things back to look at this guy again as a total package, he is really neat. I appreciate the fact that I can adjust the arms to make him fit a little bit better on my shelf. And I do really wish that you could do more with those arms and not have them stuck in the bicep curler position, but overall, it's a really cool looking set. The color breakup is really nice. There's a lot of nice details going out like throughout the main body. There are some colors, like the tones aren't quite the same, but a lot of colors throughout the main body that are kind of shown again in the other vehicles. Like the white from Dandy, you can see white around there. Black from SWAT is, of course, intermixed in there. Red from Ace is in there. White is also in Fron, which is there. And then blue is it's not the same shade of blue, but there is blue. And you can kind of get a little hint of yellow from Fron there too. Moving back in again to look at the head again. I do really think it's a cool looking head. I like what they did. It's kind of like a beefed up version of the original Pentastorm head, and we'll see that when we do the comparisons. And I also think it's cool how the truck grille section pulls back and ends up here in order to reveal a completely different looking chest detail now, and that's neat. But yeah, great looking head sculpt. Unfortunately, they did the light piping thing, which means his eyes look dead. I'm fine with it for the head crest up here, but I just wish they had done something more for those eyes to make them stand out. Anyway, let's move him way back here. Let's try and get things going for a size comparison. This is going to be tricky, but I'm going to try. I'm going to have to angle it so that his wings are off camera, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. So here he is with the standard deluxe squad, and he's absolutely enormous, as you'd expect. Also, things are pretty dark. Let me bump up the light a little bit here. There we go. Here he is with Sky SWAT, who looks so tiny compared to this guy, which is really saying something considering how big Hello Carbots are. And then, of course, I'm gonna need to pull this back a little bit more, I think. Here is Pentastorm X with the original Pentastorm. Well, this is a reissue of the original Pentastorm, but same thing. And you can see how they're definitely supposed to be the same, but also are very different. There are a lot of elements to Pentastorm X that I like over Pentastorm, but then there are also some elements to Pentastorm that I like over Pentastorm X. Pentastorm X has more detail, which is great, but it also is a little bit busy looking compared to the original Pentastorm, so it's like, he needs a little more detail, he needs a little less detail. The big gripe that I had with the original Pentastorm was that those shoulders were so blank looking. Pentastorm X, he's definitely got detail in the shoulders now. Also, the yellow that they have on the collar around the original Pentastorm's head, I kind of feel like if they brought a little color in there, that would be nice. Bringing these boys closer for a slightly more direct head comparison, you can see how, especially in the faceplate section with that like silver faceplate with like the little black-gray section behind it and then the eyes for both of them, it's got a very similar face. It's sort of like the helmet got upgraded around it and the face more or less remained the same. I think that's enough comparing these two, so let's wrap it up with the duck tank. Okay, this has gone on more than long enough. I tried to keep it quick, and I think I failed miserably, but hey, that's just how I do. So that has been Hello Carbot's Pentastorm X. As I said, it's a lot of improvements that I really like, including the improved articulation. I just, more than anything, really wish that there was a way to give him proper elbows. There's gotta be some way to mod it or fan mode it or something that I just haven't figured out yet. Anyway, that's enough of my thoughts on that. What do you all think of this combiner, this set, the individual bots? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all, and remember, art is more than meets the eye.